Welcome back everyone, this is GTA Failer. In the last video I happened to run into a Mr. Whoopi, that's this ice cream truck that I'm driving now. I happened to run into one of these in the wild, and Mr. Whoopi is required for an import-export task, and so I thought this would be a good time for us to tackle that. So you can see there on the outside of this garage is a list of 16 vehicles, including the Mr. Whoopi. And all of these vehicles are required to complete this garage. I'm just going to walk around the Mr. Whoopi because I think it looks cool. Um, and so dropping the car off in the garage and dropping all the cars off is required if you want to beat the game at 100%. So I'm going to do as many of these cars as I can in this video. Almost all these cars are available. Oh, I think we get $1,000. I didn't check the total there, but I think it's $1,000 for each vehicle. And you can see that the Mr. Whoopi is crossed off in red. So just 15 more to go. So I'm going to rate each of these vehicles. I'm not really a car guy in general, but figured just something that Joshimus did in his San Andreas True 100% Plus series. So we're copying him in a lot of ways. So that Mr. Whoopi right there on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the worst vehicle, 10 is the best. That's a 10 for me. It's a really rare vehicle. It's got that awesome jingle. You actually use it in one of the missions here in Portland to blow up a bunch of bad guys, or maybe they're good guys and we're the bad guy. It's quite a morally confusing game. Here we're going to get an unskippable cutscene because this particular Patriot is associated with a side mission. So we're going to do this side mission in another video, but it turns out you can just grab this Patriot. It's always located right here and bring it right back to the import-export garage and get credit for it. So that's what we're going to do. So the Mr. Whoopi is just an awesome vehicle. I mean, it doesn't handle well, but it just really looks cool. Reminds me of getting ice cream from ice cream trucks when I was a kid. And like I mentioned, who doesn't love that jingle? It's also quite rare. I think the rarest vehicles that kind of spawn in the wild here. So now technically we're on a mission, and so the game, does come back when you're not so busy, and then you bail too tough for you. This snarky retort, but then we can drop off the Patriot and get credit for it. So the Patriot's okay. It's kind of a boxy looking car, but it's got great handling when you're on like mountains and rocks and things like that, which is what we're going to be doing on the Patriot Playground side mission. So we'll give it, I don't know, we'll give it a 7 out of 10. And then back to collecting more cars. So like I mentioned, almost all of these cars on this particular list, they spawn in the wild and here on the first island, so you can just grab them and take them back when you see them. But there's two vehicles in particular on that list that, as far as I know, do not spawn on Portland Island. So it wasn't clear to me when I started recording this video how many of the 16 cars I'd be able to get, but we're just gonna see what we can do and get as many as possible. Okay, so there's a fixed location for this van right here. This is called the Rumpo, and it's one of the required vehicles. The Rumpo is quite common. The Patriot that we picked up, that kind of Hummer kind of car, is also quite common. So typically I would just grab a Rumpo if I saw it in the wild and I was like closer to the import-export garage. But for the purposes of this video, I just decided to show all of the fixed locations of these required cars, and there's really just a few on this list that don't have a fixed location. So what I'm doing here isn't like the speed strat, it's just a kind of demonstrate fixed locations strat. Okay, so the Rumpo is kind of a boring van. There's a lot of boring vans in this game. We'll give that one a 4 out of 10. Nothing too special about that one in terms of remembering which van is which, because there's a few more coming up on this required import-export list. The Rumpo has like side windows on towards the rear of the vehicle, like one on each side near the rear of the vehicle, near the rump of the vehicle, if you will. And so that's how I remember that one. It's the one with the windows near the rump. Okay, so we're just going to head up here and grab another quite common. Oh, actually, I thought we were going to get a van, but here we're going for the bus. So the bus is called the coach here, and there's another vehicle that's required for this import-export list called the bus. And the other one that the game calls a bus, you can see this one's called the coach. The one that the game calls a bus is actually more of a school bus looking thing. So they look very different, the coach and the bus. So the bus is, oh my goodness, big and bulky and somehow gets absolutely destroyed sometimes when you hit little light poles, but that's all right. One thing to note, if you are taking a bus back, there's a good chance the alarm will be going off when you take the bus, the car alarm, and if you pass a police officer when the car alarm is going off, you get a wanted level, and the bus has very poor acceleration. So I keep calling it the bus. The coach has poor acceleration. So just be careful if there's a police officer nearby. If it doesn't look like you have the speed to get away, then to get out of the bus before you get pulled out of the bus and busted. Okay, so the bus, I don't know, looks pretty cool. Public transportation is good, right? Get more cars off the road and have people taking buses instead. Whip It, I think, is some kind of drug reference. Honestly, I'm not sure. But we'll give the bus a 6 out of 10. It's okay. It's got kind of a nice deep horn if you push the horn button. Okay, and so I mentioned before I don't have infinite sprint yet because I haven't done paramedic, so I'm just tapping the sprint key about 1 or 2 times a second, and that gives virtually the same speed as if you were sprinting the whole time, and you can do it forever if you get a good rhythm going. So just heading back out, that van that we just hit is actually the van that we're about to get here, I think. Yeah, just off here to the right is a fixed location of this van. So again, if I were playing the game for speed and not making this video series, I would have just grabbed it instead of showing this fixed location. But here's the pony, and we just take it and drop it back off. This one doesn't have the windows on the sides near the rump of the car. It's got only the driver side window and the passenger side window. So I just picture an actual pony, like the animal, kind of like the small horse sitting there driving, and that's what I see when I see that lone window on the side. So another boring van should get the same score as the Rumpo got, but I'm not writing down my scores. I'm just making them up as I go. So I think we'll give this pony a 4, and hopefully that's consistent with the Rumpo, and then there's another van coming up as well. Okay, so as we keep doing this, I'll read a tiny bit about import-export from the wiki. That van that we just passed is the Moonbeam with all the windows on the sides. That's a required one, so again, I would have just grabbed that one instead of showing the fixed location of wherever I'm headed next. I don't know where we're headed right now. Looks like we're actually headed to the Moonbeam. So the Moonbeam is a van, and it's got tons of windows on the sides, and it's in this fixed location here. And one thing you should consider if you haven't played this game, or if you're considering playing this game to get 100%, is to maybe do this import-export thing before the Mafia gets mad at you. So spoilers, we're going to do some, like all the story missions at some point once we do everything else that we can first. And the Mafia is going to get mad at us for a good reason, probably. And once they get mad at you, they start shooting at you whenever you are nearby, whenever you're going through St. Mark's, which is Mafia territory. And they have some very powerful artillery. And so if you get shot, I think it's just twice with their guns, then your vehicle explodes. Not just like catches fire and you have time to run out, but it just straight up explodes. So the Moonbeam, I actually kind of like the Moonbeam a tiny bit better than the other two vans. So we'll give that one a 5 because it's got all the cool windows around the side. I picture actual moonbeams shining through all those great windows on the sides of the van, like rays of light coming from the moon, or reflected by the moon, I should say. Okay, so like I was saying, I'd recommend doing this before the Mafia gets mad at you, because driving through St. Mark's when the Mafia is mad at you could be very, very dangerous. Okay, so just headed to the next fixed spawn, and I'll start reading from the wiki here while we're doing these little mini drives. We just passed a Bobcat, and we're going to pick up a Bobcat here. So this is the pickup truck, and it's very common. It's pretty cool looking, I guess. Yeah, I could dig it. It can carry some stuff in the bed of the truck there, and it's got okay speed and handling. We'll give the Bobcat an 8. It's a nice name too, named after like the Wildcat. That's cool. So 8 for the Bobcat. Okay, so here's some reading from the wiki. Import-export is a side mission in GTA 3 where the player is required to deliver specific vehicles to certain garages and cranes in Liberty City. So it turns out that there are 3 import-export lists in this game, and I'm just going to show one of them in this video and then the other 2 in other videos. After delivering a car, the player is rewarded with a sum of money. So is it 1,000? I just looked at the numbers there. It looked like it was 1,000. So $1,000 each time, and then at the end of completing the entire list, you get another reward, which I'll just demonstrate. You get a cash reward. I think it's 200 grand for doing all the vehicles for one particular list. But then you also get a different reward, which I'll show off once we've completed the list. So here you go. That was what the Yankee, kind of a boring, slow box truck. I do like the heavyweight sumo joke on the front there. So we'll give that one a 5. Okay, let's see. So the all 3 import-export lists are required for 100% completion. There's the Turtlehead Fishing Company Mule, another boring box truck. This one doesn't have the funny joke on the side of it. At least if there is a joke there, I don't get it. So we'll give this one a 4 out of 10. Okay, again, reading from the wiki. The Portland docks requests vans, trucks, and various industrial/commercial vehicles to be collected through a garage. There's a list of vehicles at the front of the garage. It keeps track of what is still needed and what has been collected. Because the list requests certain vehicles that will not be immediately made available until the player unlocks the succeeding island, that's Staunton Island, the list will typically have to be completed much later in the game. So that's typical, but we're going to do our darndest to do as much as we can before we get later in the game. As I said, a successful export of each vehicle to this garage rewards the player $1,000. Completing the list awards $200,000. So yeah, so that's what we're doing, is just going through one at a time. And now we get the line runner, which I think is a pretty cool looking, I don't even know what to call it, like a semi, is that what it's called? Semi truck. Like I mentioned, I'm not a car person. But typically, be carrying like a whole big load, like another separate vehicle with just wheels but no engine, and lots of stuff for shipping. I do like the touch with the red and yellow wires there. That's pretty cool. So I like this one. The line runner is going to get. Let's give that one an 8. That's a nice looking vehicle. Okay, so you're welcome to keep track by hand of all the vehicles that you've done and what's left. Here I'm looking at the list just to kind of remind myself of what I still need to get. But I have made a shared Google sheet, spreadsheet, with a list of all of the required import-export vehicles for not just this list, but the other 2 lists as well. And so that shared sheet is available for you if you want to download it and use it on the computer or print it. It's linked in the video description below. Lots of copies of it, actually, in case you want to play this game 100% many times through. Okay, so headed to the next vehicle. There's more stuff. There you can see me getting a wanted level just because I had the alarm flashing on this car at the same time as I passed a police officer. Okay, so I think I'm done with all the fixed locations. So now I'm here on this main road looking for the other vehicles. And so here's one of them. In fact, these 2 in a row. You got the flatbed I'm getting in, and then the trash master right behind me. Both of them required. Now, I got to be careful here. I don't want to get busted with this very poor acceleration vehicle, and I was going uphill, so I was kind of slow at the start. And also, I don't know if you saw, but the guy that I carjacked this vehicle from started to chase after me, and if he gets to the door, he will yank me out and drive away with this vehicle, and we can't have that. So there's a few of these vehicles that don't have fixed spawns, and so I typically just go to that main north-south road, real wide, 2 lanes in each direction, because I can get them to spawn. I see them spawning quite regularly on those roads, and these large vehicles that we're missing don't spawn on just every road. They spawn on specific roads, so I just go to that main road. Okay, so what does the flatbed get? I don't know. It's a pretty cool looking vehicle. It's all military and stuff. I'll give it a 9. Support the troops, Okay, so I think I'm just going to head back out to that Karuma and back out to that main road, again looking for the vehicles that don't have fixed spawns. Okay, so let me read a tiny bit more from the wiki, but this time I'll share some info about import-export in the other GTA games, just to kind of compare and contrast what it looks like in GTA 3 versus the rest of the GTA universe. Okay, so in the original GTA, like GTA 1, and also in GTA London, 1969-1961, there's something called Crane Bonuses, and that is the name of the import-export mission in those 2 games. And then here it's just called import/export. So right now I'm picking up a Trash Master. And I'll go ahead and rate the Trash Master right now. So I think this is a really cool looking truck. It's got lots of nice details on it. And when I was a kid, I thought, like I look outside my window and the trash guys come to pick up the trash once or twice a week, and they're all big and strong, and they get to spend all day working outside in the sun. And I didn't consider the negatives of working in the rain and always working near smelly trash. But anyway, I thought, hey, that'd be a cool job. Maybe one day when I'm older, I can become a big, strong, I don't know, what are they even called? Garbage man. There you go. Garbage man, garbage woman. Um, there's the Mr. Whoopi there that I'm looking to the right at. I think, like I said, the rarest vehicle. I didn't end up becoming a garbage man in my career, but that's okay. It's still okay to have dreams. So like I said, I really like this vehicle. We're giving this one a 10, same as the Mr. Whoopi, 2 10s so far. Yeah, and this is me just giving you a nice view of all the different sides of the Trashmaster. Very cool. Oh, I should have mentioned, I'm jumping out here. It's a very tiny speed strat, which is silly for me to do. This is not a speed series. But as soon as the garage door, like you're in the garage to drop off the vehicle, and then you leave the garage, and as soon as you get far enough away from the garage door starts to close. And once the garage door starts to close, I don't know why I paused the game here. I guess I don't know, something came up in real life. I'm hoping that we didn't pause it for long. Super. Um, so once the garage door starts to close, you no longer control your character. So typically that means you just freeze in place for 1 or 2 seconds. We're not talking a lot of time. But if you jump, then you can even as the garage door is closing, you're already airborne and you're moving forward in the direction you want to move, horizontally. And so it's a small time save, like maybe 1 second, because you're not stuck on the ground for the entire time that you typically would be, because you're in the air for part of the time. Very small time save. Okay, so I didn't see any of the vehicles I'm looking for on this trip, so I just make a U-turn and come back. Probably, yeah, gonna go through this Bribe Star Alley because these stinking boxes, my goodness. Um, Strongest thing in the game. So the large vehicles that I'm looking for also spawn on this continuation of that 4-lane road that we just left, although I didn't see any of them here, so we just make a U-turn and head back. When I'm playing this game for speed, I do this, there's a flatbed, but we're going. And here's the school bus that we want, and this one is just called Bus. So when I play for speed, I don't just, but actually I see this secure car next to me, and in my experience, the secure car is something more rare than the school bus, and so I made a switch. I grabbed it. It's possible the bus will still be there, especially if I don't hop in a lot of vehicles between now and getting back to the bus, but I don't know what makes these things spawn or despawn, I should say, when you leave them. But anyway, I thought this was a good swap to grab the secure car because I think it's more rare than the school bus. Okay, so there's another Mr. Whoopi, very nice. All right, so what do we give the secure car? Well, okay, so one thing I want to demonstrate is that none of these doors here are opening up for me. There's an early game mission that we're going to do that once we complete it will give us a mysterious beeper notification that says, hey, if you can find any more secure cars, bring them to my garage. I'll pay you handsomely. And so I just wanted to illustrate that mission, they drop off up to 10 secure cars, is not available yet. Okay, so this car is okay. Oh, I was about to sprint out, and I was like, no, got to take a look at it. So it's got the kind of funny, Germanish sounding play on words there on the side. We'll give it a bonus point for that. But and also it carries lots of cash around, so bonus points there as well. I don't think it's really much to look at, but with the couple of bonus points that it got, instead of getting a 7, we're going to give that thing a 9. 9 for the secure car. So as I was saying, when I play this game for speed, I don't do what I'm doing here. I don't just drive around randomly until I find the rarer vehicles for import-export. What I do instead is I do taxi. I steal a taxi, pick up a passenger, drop them off at another place, and you repeat for a total of 100 drop-offs. And whenever I can, I take a route that puts me on this main 4-lane road and the continuation of this road through the Bribe Star Alley. here I was looking for the school bus and I could see that it wasn't there. So just continuing through looking for more of these things. And so it doesn't feel like I'm, quote, wasting time because I'm like doing taxi and then I just abandon taxi once I see any of the vehicles I'm still looking. But for the purposes of this series, I thought we'd just keep everything clean and contained in these videos. So just doing import export and not mixing it with taxi right now. Okay, so coming back to the wiki, reading about import export in the other games, the other GTA games. So it's just called import export here in GTA 3. In Vice City, it's a side job. It's called, it appears at Sunshine Autos Import Garage, and it's a place that you can buy. And then, oh, there's the school bus right there. So you buy the place, Sunshine Autos, from the football player, BJ something or other. I forget what his name is in the game. And then you can do a bunch of import export stuff there. So we're going to take the bus here and get away from that guy. I wanted to make a U-turn there, but it would have meant uphill and going very slow and being near the guy is carjacked. So decided to play it a little bit more safely here and get away from him faster. Okay, so the school bus, I don't particularly have fond memories of like riding the school bus when I was a kid. You know, it's all crowded and noisy with the other kids, and then it means, you know, like you're going to school. Who wants to go to school when you're a kid? And also some of the school buses I was on, you could smell like the fumes. You know, like the I mean, I guess it's not carbon monoxide because I don't think you could smell that, um, but anyway, it smelled very fumey, you know, like diesel fumes or whatever on some of these buses. So not great memories, but going to school is a good thing. Education is wonderful. Stay in school, kids, and any kids that are watching this probably shouldn't be. There's some adult content in this game, but anyway, it's kind of a mixed bag here. We're going to give a 7 out of 10 to the school bus. So here's the view from the side, and I think the other side is just identical. Okay, so looking at the list, I think there's only two things left: the Blista in the top right, and then the Dodo right middle. So I mentioned that there are two vehicles that, as far as I know, do not spawn on this first island, and these are these two that are remaining. So the Dodo is a plane that's available at the airport on the third island, and the Ballista is a pretty ordinary-looking minivan, and it's available on the second and third islands. In fact, it has a fixed spawn on the second island, but as far as I know, we can't find it in the wild here on Island 1, so sort of stuck in terms of the Ballista. Okay, so as I drive to my next destination, I'll keep reading here in GTA San Andreas. This is called Exports and Imports, and it's a side job. In GTA 4, it's called Exotic Exports, and it's a business side job available from Brucey Kibitz's emails. Okay, and then in GTA Online, looks like there's several of these things. So one of them is a content update. It's called GTA Online : Import Export. One of them is called Exotic Exports. It's a business side job available from auto shops in GTA Online. And then finally, another one called Simeon's Export Requests, which is a list of sports cars, luxury cars, and SUVs for Simeon Utarian in GTA Online. Okay, so I'm trying to leave the first island, and so we're doing our standard trick where we try and fail to land on that broken girder, which is why I saved right beforehand. So here I'm demonstrating there's no way off this island. You just have to jump in the water and swim with the fishes, or you can just reload and be right back on the first girder by using my quick save cheaty program. Okay, so we try again, and didn't even get off the ground that time. And we'll try a third time. I have no memory of how many times it took me, but I'm feeling good about this one. Here we go. And nice, nailed it. First time, every time. Okay, so I think that's about it for the wiki. So I'll share my feelings about import-export in GTA games in general. So I don't mind the import-export in GTA 3. I actually kind of like it. a lot of the vehicles on this first list of 16 cars and stuff, other vehicles, they're very commonly available. Many of them have fixed spawns, so it's just a big fetch quest basically. And I happen to really like fetch quests if they're done right. So I don't mind the import-export list that we just did. There's another import-export list that has to do with emergency vehicles. Don't mind that one. And then finally, there's an import-export garage on the third island. That one, frankly, is the shortest, the quickest one of all, I think, because the cars are very, very commonly found in the wild, and also some of them have fixed locations. So if I'm like rating import-export tasks here in GTA 3, I don't know, it's kind of fun. I'll give it 8 out of 10. It's really not bad. But then I played, so where am I going here? Oh, so I mentioned there's a fixed location for the Blista here on Island 2. It's right here. It's just this minivan. And so I'll get in just to demonstrate that it's called the Blista, and that if I wanted to, if the bridge going back, if I could somehow get this Blista back to the first island, then I could just drop it off as, like standard behavior in terms of completing the import-export list. But I can't bring this Blista back without cheating, like the bridge. So I'm headed towards the tunnel. So the bridge is all exploded and not passable, and the tunnel has a big blue wall that is going to prevent me from driving back from this island back to Portland, the first island. Um, and so, yeah, okay. So I know I used a cheat code in the firefighter video where I flew my fire truck from Island 2 back over the broken bridge to Island 1. But that, like I did that just because I wanted to see, like it was the only way I could think of to get 60 fires done in a row in a single firefighter mission. Um, and so I don't want to just do that every time because it's going to make life easier for me. So I'm not going to do that with this Blista. I have certain standards that I'm going to adhere to, and I'm going to make them up as I go along and change them whenever it suits me. So I'm just taking the Ballista to the third island. I could take any vehicle to the third island here through this tunnel, and I'm just making my way to the airport and see if we can't get the Dodo, the airplane, back. So here, the first left is the way to get to the airport, and if I continued straight through the tunnel, that would take us near to the safe house here on the third island. So yeah, so we're gonna head over to the Dodo, and I'll mention that flying the Dodo is easy once you know how, but it's not trivial to learn. I think that the Dodo was really not even intended to be flown in GTA 3. Like it has the mechanics to be flown, but I think it was really just a joke. All right, so I've totally wrecked my Ballista here. Let's start running. Um, but it turns out that if you learn the mechanics and then practice a bunch, you can fly this Ballista fly the Dodo pretty competently. I am personally not very good at flying the Dodo. I think I take it in my speedrunning route. I take the Dodo exactly twice. Once for the import-export thing we're doing here, and once for another mission that has me trying to get from the airport back to the construction site on the second island, and it's a very short flight with the Dodo. But there are people, speedrunners, that are very good at flying the Dodo, and they use the Dodo to great advantage on some missions. There's one called Bait here in GTA 3 where they use the Dodo, and it's really cool to see. Okay, so here is the Dodo, the only vehicle that the player can fly in this game. You can see you can see me saving. I forgot that I saved. Here I think I'm just trying to get daylight back. There we go, just for the purposes of making it easier to see in this video. But I'm saving because there is a not insignificant chance that I'm going to die failing to fly this Dodo. And so I actually forgot even which keys. I knew that like the number pad keys were the important ones for like pushing the nose of the Dodo down or up, and I think it's like 6 pushes the nose of the Dodo down, and then couldn't even remember like which button pushes the nose of the Dodo up. I think it's 9, 6 and 9, but in this video, I think there we go. Finally, at the very end of the way, I realized it was 6. So here I am just tapping 6, trying to get the nose of the Dodo down, which paradoxically actually gives you like some height, but not enough height here. All kinds of bad stuff happening. And this, like if like I just had I just decided to start over because like I need to get it back to the first island, and here I fell out of the sky on the second island. So the main idea with the dodo, in terms of flying, is that you build up some speed, and when you have enough speed, you push six to push the nose of the dodo down. That will then show. So, oh, I ran right over this right here. I forgot you can't do that in the dodo. When you push six and you're going fast enough, you'll see some sparks coming off the right below the tail of the dodo, and then you immediately release six. Um, and there you go. I flew for 2 seconds. So there's the sparks, and then I release six, and then I just tap, tap, tap six a little bit every time you see the nose of the plane going down. That's me tapping six. And here it's so foggy that I can't even see my target. Like I'm heading for like a main road, but I think I end up to the left here over this other bridge connecting the second and third islands. Um, so this is not at all. I want to be further right from where I am. Um, Let's see if we can manage to salvage this. This is not looking great, but this is the road I intended to fly over. This is going to take us right over the broken bridge, and I'm hoping to land on the other side of this broken bridge, past the break here, and then just drive the rest of the way. Now, what I should be doing here, so I really jammed the plane down, but you can see I'm still going so fast that I took off again. This is all kinds of dicey. Oh my goodness, this can't possibly end well, can it? What I should have done is kind of feather the plane for a gentle landing, pushing the 9 button. But I couldn't even remember like which button was the one to, kind of raise the nose of the plane a little bit, which would eventually cause you to slow down and fall for hopefully a safe landing. But hey, this worked. Nobody said it had to be pretty. And when you watch a video from GTA Failure, this is the kind of expert gameplay you should expect. So we just drop this thing off. Kind of looks like maybe it's too wide to fit, but it does fit inside as long as you're kind of near the middle. And just like that, the dodo is firmly in place. Okay, so rating the dodo. Let's see. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. Oh, here I'm trying to like show how it's even though it looks like the propeller is moving, it's totally safe. There's not gonna be like a Indiana Jones moment there, getting ripped up by the plane. Okay, so the dodo crossed off, and only that lousy Blista left. Other than that, we got 15 out of 16 vehicles safely stored, retrieved, imported, and exported. And then I paused the game again for some unknown reason. Hopefully, I didn't pause it for too long. Super. All right, so continuing merrily along. I didn't. Great. So it's the only flyable vehicle that Dodo, and it's really a pain in the butt to fly, and it just goes all kinds of crazy. But like you're flying a plane, and it's the only. You can't do any helicopters, can't do any other planes, so it's got to get a 10. The third 10. I hope I'm not contributing to grade inflation here in this country, but 10 out of 10 for that one. Okay, so what else am I doing? Like I mentioned, the Blista is the only vehicle that remains, and as far as I know, the Blista has no. Okay, so for sure, the Blista has no fixed spawns on this first island, and as far as I know, the Blista does not spawn in the wild on this first island. If I'm wrong, if it's possible for the Blista to spawn in the wild on this island, do let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. As far as my memory goes, I've never seen a Blista in the wild here on the first island. So typically you would just wait until you unlock Staunton, and then the bridge will be repaired, and then you can just merrily, easily drive that Blista back over the repaired bridge and finish up. But I had some memory that there was one way to get some vehicles to spawn on this island that wouldn't normally spawn on this island. And the memory is that the rules kind of change when you do firefighter, and the vehicle that's on fire, I guess, could be in some cases a vehicle that doesn't normally spawn here on the first island. So as soon as I saw the vehicle was a taxi and not a Blista, I just ended firefighter. I don't care to do any more firefighter. The only reason I'm doing this is to hope that I just like win a lottery ticket and get a Blista to be the vehicle that's on fire, and then I put out the fire, and then I take the slightly charred but still drivable Blista over to the import-export garage. So I didn't know, and I still don't know, like what the odds are of getting a Blista, like getting any particular vehicle to be the one that's on fire. I've seen a ton of different kinds of vehicles that are the vehicle that's on fire. I guess I was willing to do this for like half an hour, just to see, just like half an hour of attempts, and if I didn't get a Blista within half an hour, then I would just quit on this dream. But lo and behold, my second vehicle that was on fire was the Blista. I feel like I just got really lucky here. I think it should naturally take a lot longer to get a particular car to show up as being the one on fire, but there we have it. I was pretty happy to see the list show up so early in this process. Um, so rating the Blista, I don't know, it's just an ordinary looking minivan. It's got lots of cool windows. We'll give it a point for that, but otherwise it's nothing special. We'll say 6 out of 10 for the Blista. Um, you know what? I'm going to dock it one for being so hard to get early in the game. 5 out of 10. Lousy Blista. Okay, so there we go. All done. Shake the camera because I'm excited, and then it says, "Nice. Here's a little something." So when you finish all the things in the import-export list, then you can spawn at will any of the vehicles from that export list. You just come right over here. You walk into any of these little icons. You get a message that says, "Go out and wait." Right now, the garage door is closing behind me, and then it's going to reopen. I wish I would have spun the camera around before. And there we go. Anytime we want a Dodo, we could just come right here. And anytime I get into a Dodo, I save, save because I'm taking my own life into my hands when I get in this thing and try to fly it. Okay, so I had no plans like what to do with this Dodo. I was just going to see if I could get it off the ground. You can see it's not going well yet. But coming back to rating import export, so I think I rated it an 8 out of 10 on in GTA 3. But my experiences doing the import export stuff in Vice City are not nearly as good. I had a hard time. Like I know quite well what the required vehicles are in this game. All right, so here I'm just, oh, goodness, it's upside down almost immediately. Yeah, like this image right here should be like if I were into making screenshots for videos, like this is like very on brand for my channel. It's like that image of an upside down vehicle that's on fire. And then this guy right here, this old guy, he came towards me. I don't like the way he looked at me, so I'm going to teach him a lesson. Wrapping up, my experiences doing Vice City import export were not nearly as good. In Vice City, I'm gonna give it like a 2 out of 10 because the I had a hard time identifying like the different cars. I just couldn't figure out like what was what, and so many of them looked the same to me. And also some of the cars that you need, they just seem like they could take like half an hour to spawn in the wild, and it was just so frustrating to, feel like I was just waiting and waiting and waiting, trying to finish the import export tasks in Vice City. So 2 out of 10 there, but 8 out of 10 here. So averages out to a 5, I guess. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon.